What is up, math scholars? Thanks for joining me for part 1 of section 4.7. We've never really done this before, but in part 1, we're going to learn how to do it by hand. And in part 2, we're going to learn how to use the technology to solve these problems. So what we'll be doing when we solve these by hand is using a system of equations. You might have seen systems of equations before back in Algebra 1, but it's when you have 2 equations and 2 variables that you're going to be solving for. And we're going to be using the substitution method to solve these systems. So here's going to be the whole point. We're going to have 2 coordinates, and sometimes maybe even more than 2 coordinates, that we're going to want to fit a function to. And they'll tell you whether we want to be fitting an exponential function to the coordinates or whether we want to be fitting a power function to the coordinates. So they did say we're going to be doing an exponential function, which is right here. They're giving you 2 coordinates, so they'll give me an x value and a y value, and another x value and another y value. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the equation I've got in the box. We're going to put the x and the y in the spots. So for the first one, I'll have a 12 in for y, and I'll have a 1 in for x. In the second equation, I'm going to have 108 in for y, and I'm going to have a 3 in for x. So what I've got here is a system equation. Sometimes in math books, they connect the system of equations with one of these brackets, but you don't need to do that. So this is to solve systems of equations using substitutions. You want to select one equation, solve it for one variable, and then substitute that variable in the second equation. So I'm going to take equation 1. It's 12 equals a times b to the first. And I'm going to solve it for a. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by b. It's just b to the first. I can just call it b. So basically, I've discovered that a equals 12 over b. I'll go ahead and circle that. It's kind of important. What I'm going to do is substitute 12 over b in for a in equation 2. So that would give me 108 equals 12 over b times b cubed. So if I have b cubed on top and b on bottom, I can kind of do bigger minus smaller, put the answer where the bigger is. I would have a b squared on the top. So it's going to be 108 equals 12 times b squared. I'm just going to solve that out. I should probably go full screen so I have a little more space. Here we are. So I'm going to divide both sides by 12. Grab your calculators if you don't have them out yet. Give you a second. 108 divided by 12. It is 9. Square root both sides. And we're just going to go with the positive answers today. So just 3. Now, once you have one answer, all you have to do is go back to your bubble over here where a is to figure out what a is. A equals 12 over b. So a would be 12 over 3. So a is 4. So we know that a is 4. We know b is 3. We can go back to this model at the top and write what our final answer is. Y equals 4 times 3 to the x. Okay. Perfect. So that's the exponential function that would pass through those 2 coordinates. Now there is a way to have the calculator do this in StatWorld, and we'll learn that in part 2 of our video series. All right, here's my second one. It's also going to be an exponential function, so we're using this equation right here. We have an x value and a y value, and an x value and a y value. So put them both into the equation in 2 separate equations to make a system. So first it'll be 6 equals a times b to the x, so to the first. My second equation would be 24 equals a times b to the third. And there's my system of equations. 2 equations, 2 variables you need to solve for. You know, they actually have 3 by 3 systems, so 3 equations, 3 variables to solve. We won't do that in this class, though. Maybe next year for you guys. All right, so I'm going to do the same strategy I used in the first one. I'm going to solve equation 1 for a. So to solve equation 1 for a, we'll just divide both sides by b and discover that a equals 6 over b. 6. Now I'm going to go to equation number 2 and put 6 over b in for a. So it'll be 24 equals 6 over b times b to the third. Same deal, bigger minus smaller. Put your answer where the bigger lived. Would be a b squared in the numerator. Let's finish this off. Divide both sides by 6 and square root both sides to get that b equals 2. Back to your bubble over here. A equals 6 divided by b. So a equals 6 divided by 2. That helps me discover that a is 3. So back to the original formula at the top, our final answer would be y equals a times b to the x. All right, our last two problems in this video are going to be power functions. Power functions are in the form y equals ax to the b. So there's a subtle difference from the exponentials, which were in the form y equals a times b to the x. See the subtle difference? One has an x in the exponent and one has a b in the exponent. So it's going to be the same strategy, though. We are going to be doing a system of equations to solve this. It's going to look a little different. So I've got my equation I want to be using. My y equals a times x to the b. We're going to use our 3 as our x, our 2 as our y, our 6 as our x, and our 9 as our y. So my first equation will be 2 equals a times x to the b. So 2 equals a times 3 to the b. Just checking that I've got that set up right. Okay, the second one will be 9 equals a times x, which is 6 to the b. So there's my system of equations. 2 equations, 2 variables. Let's do the same strategy we've been doing all day. Let's solve that first equation for a. So to solve our first equation for a, we're going to divide both sides by 3 to the b power. So a will equal 2 over 3 to the b power. We're going to put that in equation number 2. I need to make this a little bigger so you can actually see what I'm doing here. I'm not the best at writing on my Chromebook at the time making this video. It's not letting me scroll. Try to pause this. All right, I'm gonna just try to get this written out as neatly as I can. My second equation will be 9 equals 2 over 3 to the b times 6 to the b. And I'm really going to focus on what I'm seeing here. If I have 6 to the b divided by 3 to the b, it's really just 6 over 3 to the b power. So it's 2 to the b power. So what I've got here is 9 equals this 2, which was coming from right here, and then times 2 to the b. And to solve this out, we'll divide both sides by 2, this 2 here. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So 4.5 equals 2 to the b. And then to solve that, we'll just do a log base 2. So log base 2 will cancel here. A log base 2, I'll need to type that into the calculator to see what that ends up being. So remember the quick trick is math alpha math that gets you the log button quickly. Log base 2 of 4.5 gives me a b value of 2.17. If you go back to the original bubble where I'm putting the star right here to figure out what a is, a equals 2 divided by 3 to the b power. 2 divided by 3 to the b power, and b is 2.17. So a ends up being 0.184. 0.184. All right, so that's all we're going to do in this video. Please join me for part 2 of the video where we learn how to do all these problems in the calculator in this fun place called Stat World. Bye.